The twin suns had begun their slow descent, casting long golden shadows across the cliffs and forests of Talcura. Zillara crouched high in a jagged tree, watching the small human figure move with quiet confidence through the undergrowth. Every step the human took was deliberate, precise, almost as if the forest itself obeyed its presence. Yet this was no magical command. It was something far stranger the human's instinct, awareness, and courage in a place that should have been utterly alien. Zillara had faced countless challenges in her lifetime. Packs of rocky that could tear a tree from its roots, Skyrans that could dive at supersonic speed, even rival warriors from distant colonies. But this being fragile in appearance, unarmed yet undaunted, felt different. It carried no obvious weapon, yet Zillara sensed a force, a potential she could not measure. She shifted slightly, adjusting her grip on her crystalline blades. Yet her curiosity had replaced any immediate thought of attack. The human paused beside a crystal-clear stream that cut through the dense forest. Its reflection shimmered in the water, and Zillara noted the calm determination in its eyes. She had expected fear. She had expected hesitation, perhaps panic, but there was none. Instead, the human knelt, testing the water with careful fingers, scanning the plants, examining the soil. It moved as if it belonged, yet every action was deliberate, cautious, intelligent. Zillara crouched lower, letting the vines shield her. She could hear the distant calls of the forest predators, yet none approached the human. Even the rocky, ferocious hunters seemed hesitant, retreating into shadows at the mere whisper of the human's presence. A flicker of admiration passed through Zilara's mind. She had always known humans were unusual, but to command even the instincts of wild predators without a word that was extraordinary. Suddenly, the human straightened and looked up. Its eyes scanned the canopy, and then, almost imperceptibly, it seemed to sense Zilara's gaze. Their eyes met for the briefest moment, and Zillara felt that strange ripple of unease, again a feeling she had never experienced in battle. She was used to seeing fear, confusion, or surprise in her opponents. But this human? Calm, alert, unshaken. The kind of courage she had rarely witnessed. Zillara exhaled silently, keeping her position hidden. She had no plan for this being yet. To confront it openly would be reckless, but to observe it from afar offered an opportunity she had not expected. Curiosity had never been a weakness for her, but now it guided her movements more than caution. The human continued through the forest, moving toward a faint clearing Zillara had never explored before. It was a small plateau where the trees thinned and a patch of glowing moss covered the rocks. The light from the moss reflected off the human's simple gear, casting strange shadows that danced across the clearing. Zillara noted how it adjusted the straps of a pack on its back, reaching inside to pull out a small device. The device hummed softly, scanning the surroundings, sending pulses that were invisible but powerful enough to detect heat, movement, and energy fluctuations. Fascinated, Zillara watched as the human crouched near a rock formation, tapping the device carefully. Within moments, a faint holographic map appeared, showing the terrain, the locations of creatures, and even energy readings that the Elorians had never been able to track in such detail. The humans studied the display with focus and precision, noting patterns and calculating paths with a speed Zillara had never seen. For the first time, she questioned what she had always believed, that no creature could match the Elorians in skill, intelligence, or courage. The humans' abilities were entirely different, unpredictable, and frighteningly effective. A sudden rustle in the bushes snapped Zilara's attention back to the present. A Skyruns had been following the human, circling silently above the canopy. Its wings were massive, slicing through the air with deadly grace. Zillara tensed, ready to leap into action. She expected the human to panic, perhaps try to flee, but instead it raised its hand slightly, a gesture that seemed natural, almost instinctual. The Skyrans hesitated. It tilted in midair, curious yet cautious. And then, as if obeying some invisible command, it veered away, disappearing into the fading sunlight. Zilara's jaw tightened. This was not magic, and it was not a weapon. It was something she could not define: human intuition, strategy, or perhaps something far greater. She moved closer, silently navigating the vines and moss, her presence undetected. She wanted to study this being up close, to understand its capabilities. Every instinct in her body urged caution, yet a deeper part of her, a part she had not acknowledged before, felt a thrill. The thrill of challenge. The thrill of facing a force she could not predict or control. The human paused near a jagged rock, pulling another small tool from the pack. It examined the rock, tapping it gently, then adjusted it with careful movements. The human was not attempting to hide, nor was it careless. It acted with confidence, awareness, and precision, qualities Zilara respected. It had never seen combined in any species before. Zilara whispered softly to herself, almost without realizing it. Such determination. Such courage. She had always believed fearlessness came from strength and training. But this human demonstrated a different kind of bravery, the ability to face the unknown with creativity, intelligence, and calm resolve. It was a lesson she had never expected to learn. Suddenly, the human's device emitted a soft pulse, sending a wave of energy across the clearing. The moss beneath Zilara's feet glowed brighter, reacting to the signal. Zilara froze. The device had mapped the entire area, detecting hidden crevices, tunnels, and even the smallest predators hiding in the shadows. It was brilliant, efficient, and human Zilara realized something important. She had faced countless adversaries before, but none had adapted so quickly. None had perceived her world so thoroughly, and none had operated with such unexpected courage. She had always assumed intelligence and strength went hand in hand, but this human proved that even a seemingly fragile being could be a formidable force when it combined ingenuity with courage. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying the scent of approaching danger. Zilara's eyes narrowed. A pack of Rocky had caught her scent. They were massive, hungry, and fast. She could feel the vibrations of their paws through the ground, each step deliberate, predatory. Instinctively, she leapt from her hiding place, ready to confront the threat. But then she noticed the human. It did not run, nor did it panic. Instead, it studied the forest, then quickly adjusted its device. In seconds, the holographic map displayed a new set of routes, obstacles, and even the predicted paths of the Rocky. Zilara's heart pounded not from fear, but from awe. The human's calm response contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding them. It was clever, resourceful, and utterly unshaken. In that moment, Zilara understood something profound. Courage was not simply the absence of fear. True courage was the ability to act, adapt, and persevere, even when the outcome was uncertain. The Rocky leapt into the clearing, jaws snapping, eyes glowing with hunger. Zilara moved to intercept them, her blades gleaming in the dying sunlight. The human, however, did not wait for her signal or instructions. Using the environment and the device, it created a series of diversions, leading the Rocky into natural traps, confusing them, and ultimately forcing them to retreat. Zilara fought alongside the human, coordinating silently, learning instinctively from its movements. Each action the human took was clever, unexpected, and perfectly timed. Zilara realized she had never encountered an ally like this one, who combined intelligence, courage, and adaptability in ways she could not anticipate. When the last Rocky disappeared into the forest, Zilara lowered her blades. Her breathing was steady, her mind alert, yet her thoughts were consumed by the human. She had faced countless dangers in her life, yet never had she witnessed such seamless combination of bravery and ingenuity. The human looked toward her, calm and confident, as if inviting her to step forward. Zilara hesitated, feeling an unfamiliar sensation, respect, and perhaps a hint of fear. Not fear of harm, but fear of the unknown potential this being possessed. For the first time in her life, the guardian of Talqua felt a shift in her understanding. The human had arrived not merely as a visitor, but as a force unlike any she had ever encountered, done, predictable, capable, and courageous beyond measure. And Zilara knew. Deep down, that everything she had believed about fear, courage, and strength would be challenged in the days to come. The forest clearing was quiet now. The last Rocky had disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind only the faint rustle of leaves in the gentle wind. Zillara crouched atop a high boulder, her crystalline blades resting lightly in her hands. Her sharp eyes never left the human, who moved with calm precision. Gathering small tools and checking the devices in its pack, for a long moment, Zillara simply watched. The human's composure was astonishing. Even when faced with sudden danger, it remained steady, adapting faster than any warrior Zillara had ever trained with or fought against. She had always relied on strength, speed, and experience. Yet this being had changed the rules without lifting a blade. Finally, she spoke. Her voice was low, firm, carrying across the clearing. "Human," she said, stepping out from behind the vines. "Show yourself." The human turned, eyes meeting hers without fear. There was no shock, no hesitation, only quiet assessment. It was as if it had expected her arrival all along. Zilara's stance was commanding. Her blades held ready, yet she was careful not to make a sudden move. She had faced many warriors, many beasts, and even rival generals, but never had she encountered someone whose courage was so unlike her own. The human's bravery was not loud or aggressive. It was calm, confident, and unnerving. "You should not be here," Zillara said, her tone measured but firm. "This forest is dangerous. You do not belong." The human's voice was calm and steady. "I came to explore," it replied. "I mean no harm. I only want to understand." Many intruders had tried to claim innocence in the past, only to fall to the predators of Talcura or to her blades. But there was something different about this being. She could sense its awareness, its intelligence, and a strength that was subtle yet undeniable. "You are small, fragile," she said, gesturing to its slight frame. "You are not equipped to survive here. Even with those devices, the forest will not forgive mistakes." The human smiled faintly, a calm expression that seemed almost fearless. "Maybe," it said, "but I am not afraid." Zilara's breath caught slightly. The words were simple, yet the meaning behind them struck her more than any attack ever had. Fearless, not reckless. Courageous, not foolish. This human faced the unknown not by avoiding danger, but by embracing it with clear eyes and steady hands. For the first time, Zillara felt a flicker of uncertainty. She had faced powerful warriors, alien beasts, and even natural disasters. Yet she had never encountered a creature or being who could inspire both admiration and apprehension. Simply through presence, she stepped closer, circling the human with her blades still raised. "Then prove it," she said. "If you truly belong here, show me. Survive this forest. Face what others cannot. Perhaps then, I will believe in your courage." The human tilted its head, studying her silently. Then it spoke. "I do not need to prove myself to you. I only wish to survive and learn." Survival, yes. Learning, yes, but there was more. This being had a mind that could analyze, adapt, and predict. It was unpredictable in ways that frightened even her seasoned instincts. And that, above all else, made it dangerous not in a violent sense, but in potential. Before she could speak again, a distant roar echoed through the trees. Zilara's senses immediately went on high alert. The rocky pack had returned, larger this time, hungrier, their glowing amber eyes reflecting the dim light. They had been drawn by the earlier commotion and the scent of the human. Zillara readied herself. The forest around them erupted with movement as the creatures bounded toward the clearing. The human did not flinch. Instead, it scanned the area, then quickly placed several small devices on the ground. The devices emitted soft pulses, and the Rocky hesitated, their instincts disrupted by the unknown signals. Zilara's heart pounded not from fear, but from awe. The human's cleverness was astounding. Without weapons, without brute strength, it was able to manipulate the environment and the creatures themselves. She realized then that her understanding of courage, strength, and survival had been incomplete. The Rocky leaped into the clearing, their jaws snapping. Zillara engaged them, her blades moving in a blur, cutting through the creature's attacks with precision. Beside her, the human moved in a strange but effective pattern, positioning itself strategically. Using the devices, and sometimes even luring the creatures into natural traps, Zilara observed closely. Each action the human took was intelligent, rapid, and unexpected. It adapted faster than she could predict. She had faced countless threats in her life, yet this being challenged every expectation. After a tense battle, the last Rocky retreated into the forest, leaving the clearing silent once more. Zilara lowered her blades, breathing evenly, her mind racing. She looked at the human, who stood calmly, unscathed, surveying the area as if nothing had happened. "You are extraordinary," she said finally, her voice low. She did not dare call it brave yet, because bravery was more than survival. But she could not deny the truth she felt in her bones. "I have never seen a being act with such confidence and skill in the face of danger." The human met her gaze. "I only do what I must," it said simply. "I do not fear. I observe, I adapt, and I act. That is all." Zilara's fingers tightened around her blades. For the first time, she felt something strange, hesitation. She had always relied on her instincts, her strength, and her training. But this human, did not fit into any pattern she had known. Its courage was unlike any she had encountered. A silence stretched between them. The forest seemed to hold its breath, as if acknowledging the unusual bond forming in that moment. Zilara, who had feared no creature, no rival, no storm, now realized that she faced something far more unpredictable. "Come," she said at last, lowering her blades. "We should leave this clearing. There may be more rocky or worse. But know this." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "I have not encountered anyone like you in my life. You are different, and that difference is dangerous." The human nodded. "I am aware." They moved together through the forest, Zilara leading, yet keenly aware of the human beside her. Every step she took, she observed the human's actions, noting patterns, learning from them. She had never worked with another being in this way. Her missions had always been solitary. Trust had been a rare commodity. But here she felt something unfamiliar, cautious respect. The sun dipped lower, casting shadows that stretched across the forest floor. Zilara paused near a small cliffside, gazing at the glowing horizon. The human watched silently beside her. She could feel its presence, alert, calm, ready for anything. And for the first time, she questioned what she truly understood about courage. "Tell me," she said, keeping her voice low, "how do you survive in a place like this? How do you face the unknown without fear?" The human's response was simple, but it carried a weight that Zilara could feel deep within her bones. "I do not ignore fear. I acknowledge it, understand it, and then act anyway." Zilara's chest rose slowly, her mind racing. That was it. That was the difference. She had always believed that fearlessness came from strength and skill. But this being revealed a new kind of bravery, one that relied on awareness, adaptability, and the will to act, even when the outcome was uncertain. The Guardian of Talcura had faced countless perils in her life. She had stared into the jaws of death many times, yet never had she felt the way she did now, a mixture of awe, respect, and a strange sense of unease. She realized that she had underestimated this human and, perhaps, underestimated what courage truly meant. The forest grew darker as night approached, and they found a small cave to rest. Zilara set up a protective perimeter with energy barriers, watching the surroundings carefully. The human unpacked a small device, its light casting soft glows on the walls of the cave. Zilara observed silently, noting every movement, every choice. "Rest," she said finally. "You have survived the day, but tomorrow will bring more challenges." The human looked at her and nodded, settling down without complaint. Zilara crouched nearby, keeping watch. For the first time in her long life, she felt that her role as a guardian had shifted. She was no longer simply a protector. She was a student, learning from a species she had never thought could challenge her understanding of courage. As the twin moons of Talcra rose in the night sky, Zalera allowed herself a rare thought. Perhaps this human was not a threat to her city, her people, or her life. Perhaps it was something far more important. A teacher, a reminder, and a challenge to everything she had always known about bravery. And deep within her, a spark of anticipation grew. She had survived countless battles, yet she sensed that the true test, the one that would redefine her, understanding of courage and strength, was only just beginning. The first light of dawn spread across Talcor, illuminating the forest in hues of soft gold and green. Zalera moved silently through the undergrowth, her crystalline blades catching the sun's first rays. Beside her, the human followed with steady steps, scanning the terrain with quiet focus. Together, they were an unlikely pair. One, a fierce alien warrior, the other, a fragile yet fearless human. Yet their combined presence carried a new kind of power, one that neither Zalera nor the human had experienced before. The forest, usually alive with the sounds of creatures and rustling leaves, was eerily quiet. Even the distant calls of the sky wrens had disappeared. Zalera's instincts, honed over decades of patrols, went on high alert. Something was coming. Something big. Ahead, the trees opened into a vast clearing. But the sight that met them made Zalera's jaw tighten. A massive energy anomaly pulsed from the center of the clearing, and around it, creatures of all shapes and sizes had gathered. Rocky, sky runes, and even strange shadowy beings she had never seen before were drawn to it, snarling and shrieking in agitation. The anomaly's energy seemed to amplify their aggression, making them more dangerous than normal. Zalera crouched, assessing the situation. Alone, she could handle some of the smaller threats. But this gathering was too large, too chaotic. Even she might struggle to survive against such numbers. She glanced at the human, whose eyes were already scanning the area, analyzing patterns, and calculating probabilities. "This is dangerous," Zalera said, her voice steady but low. "We need a plan. There are too many of them for either of us to fight alone." The human's response was calm, almost methodical. "We adapt. We use the environment. We work together." Zalera studied the human for a moment, a flicker of respect passing through her mind. It was one thing to survive individually, but to approach chaos with strategy, intelligence, and calm determination. This is a lesson in courage that even she could learn from. They advanced cautiously toward the clearing. Zalera moved with the fluidity of a predator, every step precise, every muscle ready to strike. The human moved differently, scanning, predicting, and positioning. As if orchestrating an invisible plan, the creatures reacted instantly as they noticed the pair. Rocky leaped from the shadows. Skyruns dived from above. The shadowy beings slithered closer, their forms shifting and twisting unnaturally. Zalera struck first, her blades a blur as she intercepted a rocky mid-leap, cutting its momentum and forcing it back. But even as she fought, she noticed the human placing small devices strategically around the clearing. Each device emitted pulses that created barriers, redirected creatures, or momentarily stunned them. Zalera's breath quickened not from fear, but from awe. The human's tactics were unpredictable, clever, and incredibly effective. She had always relied on her strength, skill, and speed. Yet here was a being who combined intelligence and adaptability to overcome challenges in ways she had never imagined. A massive skyrune swooped down, its wings slicing through the air with lethal precision. Zalera jumped aside, deflecting the strike with her blade. The human moved simultaneously, creating a diversion with a small device that emitted a bright pulse. The Skyrons hesitated, confused by the sudden interference. And Zalera seized the opportunity to strike again, driving the creature back into the trees as the battle intensified. Zalera realized that her usual instincts were not enough. She had to think differently, to coordinate with the human, to anticipate not just the creature's movements, but the human's strategies as well. For the first time, she experienced a partnership in combat that challenged her, inspired her, and taught her simultaneously. The clearing shook as more creatures arrived, drawn by the anomaly's energy. The air vibrated with raw power, and the ground trembled beneath their feet. Zilara and the human moved as a team, their actions complementary. She struck with precision and force, while the human used ingenuity and strategy to manipulate the environment. Each moment required trust, focus, and courage. At one point, a Rocky charged at Zilara from behind. She barely had time to react, but the human anticipated the attack, tossing a device that emitted a bright pulse. The creature stumbled, giving Zilara the opening she needed to strike it down. She turned to acknowledge the human with a nada, silent sign of respect and acknowledgement of its critical role in their survival. The anomaly's energy pulsed again, sending waves that disoriented some of the creatures and intensified the aggression of others. Zilara felt a surge of adrenaline, her senses sharpened, and her mind racing. She realized that this battle was not just physical, it was mental, a test of strategy, adaptability, and courage. And in this test, the human excelled. Together, they began to push the creatures back toward the edges of the clearing. Zilara used her strength and speed to hold the front line, while the human manipulated the battlefield, creating traps, diversions, and safe paths. Their combined efforts created a rhythm, a dance of power and intelligence that the creatures could not anticipate. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the clearing. Zilara's arms ached, her blades nicked and scratched from the relentless battle. Yet she had never felt more alive. Fighting alongside this human, learning from its actions, and adapting her own strategies in real time had awakened a new sense of purpose within her. Finally, after a relentless struggle, the last of the creatures retreated. Drawn away by the anomaly's weakening influence and the human's clever tactics, the clearing fell silent once more. Zilara lowered her blades, her chest heaving. But her eyes shone with excitement and newfound respect. The human approached her calmly, placing a small device on the ground that neutralized the anomaly's remaining energy pulses. The disturbance faded, and the forest slowly returned to its normal rhythm. Zilara studied the human, trying to find words for what she felt. You fight differently," she said finally. "Not with strength alone, but with intelligence, courage, and foresight. I have never seen anything like it." The human smiled faintly. "I learn. I observe. And I act. That is all. Fear does not guide me, logic, and courage do." Zilara nodded slowly, absorbing the lesson. She had always believed that strength, skill, and fearlessness defined a warrior. But this human had shown her that bravery came in many forms, and that intelligence, adaptability, and calm determination could overcome challenges that sheer force could not. For the first time, Zilara felt that the presence of a single being could change everything, not just the outcome of a battle, but the very understanding of courage itself. She realized that she had underestimated humans, and that their greatest strength was not physical power, but the mind and spirit that drove them forward. The human looked at her, calm and steady. "We make a good team," it said simply. "Alone, either of us would have struggled. Together, we can face almost anything." Zilara's heart swelled with a mix of pride and newfound respect. "Yes," she agreed. "Together, we are stronger than anything this forest can throw at us." As they moved back toward the city, the forest around them seemed to acknowledge their passage. Creatures that had fled earlier watched from the shadows, curious but cautious. Even the skyruns glided overhead, keeping a respectful distance. Zilara realized that strength was not just about fearlessness, it was also about influence, presence, and the ability to inspire respect without a word. By the time they reached the edge of the forest, the suns had climbed high, bathing Talcura in warm light. Zilara turned to the human, her eyes thoughtful. "You have changed my understanding of courage," she said. "I always believed that fearlessness came from strength. You have shown me that true bravery is also in the mind, the spirit, and the will to act in the face of uncertainty." The human nodded, as if acknowledging her words without pride or arrogance. "Courage is not the absence of fear," it said quietly. It is the choice to move forward, despite it. Zilara smiled faintly, a rare expression for the guardian of Talcora. She had faced countless battles, survived uncountable dangers, and feared nothing. Yet now, standing beside this human, she understood that there was more to bravery than she had ever imagined. Together, they approached the city, a new partnership forged in the fires of battle. Zilara knew that the days ahead would bring greater challenges, but she also knew that she was no longer alone. With the human by her side, she felt a confidence unlike any before, not just in her own strength, but in the power of collaboration, intelligence, and courage that transcended species. And for the first time, Zilara looked forward to the unknown, not with fear, but with anticipation, ready to face whatever challenges the universe would throw at them. The city of Talcora floated high above the clouds, its transparent towers shimmering like ice in the morning sunlight. From afar, it seemed serene, untouched, a perfect refuge from the wilds below. But Zilara knew better. Danger did not wait for comfort, and today would prove that even the strongest city could face threats beyond imagination. Zilara and the human moved swiftly through the streets, alert to every detail. Though the creatures in the forest had been defeated, the anomaly's energy had sent signals far beyond the clearing. Reports from the city observatory indicated that larger predators, drawn by the same energy, were now moving closer. These were no ordinary creatures. Their size, strength, and aggression were unlike anything Zilara had ever faced, even in her long career as Guardian. "This is different," Zilara said quietly, scanning the horizon. "These creatures are larger, faster, and more aggressive. If we fight alone, the city will fall." The human nodded, calm as always. "Then we fight together. Strategy, timing, and focus will give us the advantage." Zilara studied the human for a moment. She had faced countless battles, yet this being never wavered, never panicked, and never underestimated the situation. Its courage was quiet but unyielding, its intelligence precise, and its ability to adapt in real time surpassed anything she had seen. Today, she realized, was not just a test of strength, it was a test of unity, of teamwork, and of the potential of a single human mind. The first wave of creatures arrived suddenly, descending from the skies and surging from the ground. Enormous skyruns, twice the size of the largest she had faced, dived from above, while colossal Rocky charged through the streets with terrifying speed. Shadowy forms slithered along the walls of the city, their shapes shifting and twisting in unnatural ways. Zilara moved to intercept the closest Rocky, her blades slicing through the air with lethal precision. She could feel the familiar thrill of combat, yet something was different this time. She was not alone. The human moved alongside her, anticipating every attack, positioning devices, and creating tactical advantages that amplified her own strength. Together, they formed a seamless team. Zilara used her strength and speed to hold the front line, while the human manipulated the battlefield, creating barriers, distractions, and traps. Even when creatures attacked from unexpected angles, the human adapted instantly, predicting their movements with uncanny accuracy. Zilara found herself thinking in new ways. She had always relied on instinct and skill, yet now she learned to anticipate, adapt, and coordinate in real time with another being. It was a revelation, and a humbling one. She had faced countless threats alone, yet this human showed her that even the most skilled warrior could reach new heights through collaboration. The creatures pressed forward relentlessly. A massive skyruns dove at Zilara from above, wings cutting the air like knives. She leaped aside, deflecting its strike, while the human activated a device that emitted a blinding pulse of light. The skyren screeched, disoriented, giving Zilara the opening she needed to strike decisively. As the battle raged on, Zilara realized something profound. Humans were not just fragile, small creatures. Their courage, intelligence, and adaptability could surpass even the greatest of predators. They could change the outcome of battles, protect entire cities, inspire even the fiercest warriors. A Rocky broke through their defenses, charging toward the city's central tower. Zilara moved to intercept, but the human stepped forward, calculating a risk with precision. With a small gesture, it activated a device that projected a barrier of energy, stopping the creature in its tracks. Zilara seized the moment, striking the Rocky with flawless timing. Together, they eliminated the threat with efficiency and coordination. The city trembled under the onslaught. But the combined efforts of Zilara and the human created a ripple of hope among the citizens. Guards and drones followed their lead, inspired by the display of courage and strategy. Even the creatures seemed to hesitate, sensing the unusual strength of this partnership. The energy anomaly, pulsing at the center of the city, intensified. Zilara and the human approached cautiously. They could feel the raw power emanating from it, capable of altering the very fabric of the city if left unchecked. The creatures surrounding it were drawn by its energy. Yet it was clear that the anomaly itself was the source of their aggression. Zilara turned to the human. "We need to neutralize it. If we fail, the city will be lost." The human nodded, calm and resolute. "We do it together. I'll stabilize the energy. You protect me." They advanced toward the anomaly. Zilara struck at the creatures that tried to block their path, her blades moving with lethal grace. The human deployed devices that created barriers, redirected attacks, and absorbed energy surges. Step by step, they reached the anomaly, their coordination perfect, their trust in each other absolute. The energy from the anomaly pulsed violently, threatening to push them back. The human knelt, placing a device on the ground. It emitted a steady pulse, slowly neutralizing the anomaly's chaotic energy. Zilara stood guard, deflecting any creature that dared approach. Her eyes sharp and unyielding. Minutes felt like hours, but the human's calm focus never wavered. Zilara realized that this being's courage was not loud or aggressive, it was quiet, unyielding, and infinitely powerful. Fear existed, yes, but it did not control it. Instead, it transformed into action, intelligence, and determination. Finally, the anomaly's energy stabilized. The creatures around it faltered, their aggression fading as the source of their frenzy disappeared. One by one, they retreated, leaving the city intact. The forest beyond seemed to breathe a collective sigh of relief. Zilara lowered her blades, exhausted but exhilarated. She looked at the human, who stood calmly, scanning the surroundings as if nothing had happened. Her respect and admiration swelled. "You have done something extraordinary," she said. "Not just survived, but led, adapted, and saved this city. I have never seen courage like yours before." The human smiled faintly. "Courage is not the absence of fear," it said. "It is the choice to act despite it. Today, we acted together. That is all." Zilara nodded, understanding the depth of the words. She had always believed that strength, skill, and fearlessness defined a warrior. But today, she had learned that intelligence, adaptability, and collaboration could achieve far more than raw power alone. Humans, this one human, had redefined her understanding of bravery. As the sun climbed higher, the city of Talcora sparkled once more, safe and unbroken. Citizens emerged from their homes inspired by the courage and skill of their protectors. Guards and drones moved with renewed confidence. Following the examples set by Zilara and the human, Zilara walked through the streets, blades sheathed, observing the human's calm demeanor. She realized something profound. Humans were not simply fragile creatures. They possessed a unique combination of intelligence, courage, and adaptability that could challenge even the strongest warriors. And in this human, she had seen it fully realized. "Tell me," she said, walking beside the human, "how do you continue to act with such calm in the face of danger?" The human looked at her with steady eyes. "I do not ignore fear. I acknowledge it, understand it, and then choose to act. Fear does not vanish, it transforms into action." Zilara smiled faintly. For the first time in her long life as the guardian of Talcora, she felt that her understanding of courage had expanded beyond anything she had known. Strength alone was not enough. Fearlessness alone was not enough. True bravery required mind, spirit, and action combined. The human paused at the edge of the city, looking toward the distant forests. "The universe is full of unknowns," it said. "We cannot face everything alone, but together we can overcome almost anything."
Ow.
Zilar nodded. "Yes, together we are stronger than any threat. You have taught me that." For the first time, she felt a sense of partnership, trust, and hope that she had never experienced before. She had feared nothing in her life until she met this human. And now she realized that facing the unknown with such courage, intelligence, and determination was the highest form of bravery she had ever witnessed. As the city of Talcora basked in the morning light, Zilara and the human stood side by side, ready for whatever challenges awaited them. They were no longer simply protector and visitor. They were partners, united by courage, intelligence, and the will to face the unknown together. The horizon stretched wide, filled with possibilities, and for the first time, Zilara welcomed the future with open eyes. Knowing that no creature, no force, and no challenge could match the strength of collaboration, courage, and human determination, together. They had faced the impossible, and together, they would continue to do so, fearless in the face of any threat, and unbroken in their resolve to protect what they held dear.
Valira stood on the edge of the cliffs of GalacticPrime, the wind whipping around her sleek armor. The sky above was a swirl of violet and gold, a constant reminder of the strange beauty of her home planet. The Kailari people had lived on this world for centuries, mastering every corner of it, yet Valira had always felt a thrill in standing where few dared. She feared nothing, and everyone knew it. From the day she had completed her first trials, she had earned a name that carried weight across Kailari society. She was not only a warrior, but a guardian, an unshakable presence who faced dangers others would never dream of confronting. Predators that lurked in the dark forests, storms that tore across the open plains, or rival clans who sought power, all had met Valira and failed to leave her shaken. Her sharp eyes scanned the horizon. The cliffs stretched endlessly in both directions, jagged edges breaking against the soft clouds below. From this height, she could see the sprawling forests of Lith, the rivers that twisted like silver threads, and the distant mountain ranges that held secrets even she had not yet explored. GalacticPrime was a dangerous planet, but it was also magnificent, and Valira had always believed that understanding danger meant controlling it. "Valira," a voice called from behind, breaking her focus. It was Kalen, a younger warrior who had trained under her for several cycles. "The patrol reports are in." "Nothing unusual." "As usual." She turned slowly, her expression calm, almost serene. "Good," she said. Her voice was soft but carried authority. "A quiet day is the best day to prepare for chaos." Kalen frowned. "You make it sound so easy, Valira. I've seen storms destroy entire villages. How can you remain so unafraid?" She smiled faintly. It was rare for her to smile, and even rarer for it to reach her eyes. "Fear is a tool, Kalen. Most people let it control them. I control it." The young warrior looked at her, unsure if she was serious or speaking in one of her rare moments of wisdom. "I wish I could be like you," he admitted. "You will," Valira said, her eyes returning to the horizon. "But remember this, Kalen. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to act even when fear exists. I have simply trained myself to see the world clearly. The dangers are real, yes, but they are not greater than my resolve." As Kalen nodded, Valira felt a disturbance in the air. It was faint, barely noticeable, but enough to make her pause. Her instincts, honed over years of life-or-death experiences, tingled. Something was approaching GalacticPrime, something unfamiliar. Valira narrowed her eyes. She had faced countless threats, yet this felt different. She could not sense its nature fully. It did not move like any predator she knew, nor like the ships of rival clans that occasionally scouted the planet. It was foreign. She stepped closer to the cliff's edge, peering into the horizon. And then she saw it, a gleaming shape in the sky moving steadily toward the planet. At first it was a glint of light, but soon it became clear. A vessel unlike any Kailari craft she had ever seen. Its surface was smooth, metallic, and it moved with a precision that was almost unnatural. Valira's heart did not race. She did not panic. But a small part of her, a part she had long ignored, leaned forward with curiosity. "What is it?" Kalen asked, following her gaze. "I do not know," she replied. Her voice was steady, but I will find out. The ship descended, moving carefully toward the cliffs. Its landing was smooth, almost graceful, and unlike the loud, thunderous arrivals of Kalari warships. Valera felt an unfamiliar sensation, anticipation. It was subtle, a quiet hum in her chest, but enough to make her pause. As the ship touched the ground, a ramp extended. Valera's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of her blade, but she did not draw it. There was no immediate threat, at least none she could detect. And then she saw him. The human stepped out of the ship. He was tall, with a lean build and eyes that seemed to hold calm determination. His armor was unlike anything Valera had seen, sleek, practical, yet strong enough to promise protection. He moved slowly, deliberately, scanning the surroundings without hesitation. There was no fear in him. Valera studied him carefully. Humans were rare in this part of the galaxy. Some Kalari had encountered them before, but they were almost always distant, cautious, and easy to intimidate. Yet this one, he radiated a quiet confidence. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice echoing slightly against the cliffs. The human turned his gaze to her, his eyes steady. "I am Commander Elias," he said simply. "I come in peace." Valera's eyebrow rose. Peace. Few strangers came to GalacticPrime without some hidden motive. She had been trained to expect deceit, attack, or retreat. Peace was unusual. "You are far from your home," she said cautiously. "Why have you come here?" "To learn," Elias replied. "To understand your world. To study it, not to conquer it." Valera's mind raced. She had heard of humans' curiosity before, their strange ability to explore and adapt, but she had never met one in person. And this one, he was not cautious. He was not weak, he was something else entirely. "You speak boldly," she said. "Many would lie in your place." "I do not lie," he said calmly. "We humans rely on honesty to survive, even when it is dangerous. Sometimes it is our only weapon." Valera's eyes narrowed. Weapon? Honesty as a weapon? It was a concept she did not fully understand. Kalari relied on strength, skill, and strategy. She had never considered truth itself as a force. "You will not find this place easy," she warned. "GalacticPrime is dangerous. Many have died here, humans and Kalari alike." "I understand the risks," Elias said. "We humans face danger every day. But we adapt, we learn, we overcome." Valera studied him for a long moment. There was something unnerving about his calm demeanor. He did not rush. He did not flinch. And yet she sensed that beneath that calmness was a sharp mind ready for any challenge. "Follow me," she said finally. "If you wish to learn, you must see GalacticPrime through my eyes. But know this, you will see things that might frighten you. Many have tried to understand this world and failed." "I am ready," Elias replied without hesitation. Valera led him down the cliffs, her steps sure and measured. The wind continued to howl around them, but she felt no fear. Yet, deep inside she felt something new, curiosity mixed with an unfamiliar tension. As they walked through the forests, she observed how he moved. Humans were fragile, but their awareness was sharp. Elias noticed every detail, the subtle movement of predators in the trees, the distant call of unknown creatures, the shifting winds that signaled weather changes. Valera realized that he was learning at a pace she had not expected. At night, around a small campfire, she watched him closely. He spoke of his world, of the stars humans had reached, of the planets they had explored. His stories were full of challenges overcome, risks taken, and lessons learned. Valera listened, intrigued, and for the first time in her life she felt a tiny flicker of doubt about her own understanding of courage. She had always believed that fearlessness meant knowing no limits. Yet this human, fragile and untested by Kalari standards, seemed fearless in a different way, through persistence, curiosity, and an unwavering calm in the face of the unknown. When sleep finally came, Valera lay beneath the stars, her mind alive with questions. She had faced countless threats, yet this human had awakened something she did not expect. The realization that fearlessness could have many forms, and that perhaps she had only understood one side of it. The night was quiet, but her thoughts were loud. Tomorrow, she knew, would bring new challenges. She did not yet know if they would be from the planet, the stars, or the humans themselves. But for the first time, Valera felt that her unshakable certainty had been touched by something entirely new. She feared nothing. Until now. Until a human approached.